Thanks. We're ready to start, so I'll start. I'm Scott, and yeah, I guess we could do this. Um, let's see. I'm not a lot of people I think come to grant writing from something else, I suspect, and I came to it from urban planning and economics, and particularly transportation and infrastructure. And so, shocker, a lot of my grants, while I do love the nonprofit, it just makes me feel so good to be able to do something for people. And you'll see some examples of work that I've done here today, I hope, if I get time. For some things I've done for nonprofits, some things I've done for governments. I'm really trying to make this very practical. And my background is certainly, you can't get away from your past, right? But my background kind of influences the tools that I use. And I was a computer programmer very, very briefly in college until one night around 2 a.m. in the computer lab, my buddy was holding me by my ankles in the garbage can so I could dig through and look at code that people had printed out and thrown away. And while I was head down, I'm like, maybe this isn't for me. And so I changed a different path, got a master's in geography ultimately. My brother was like, a master's degree? You got an undergrad in geography and a master's? He's like, how well can you learn the damn capitals of the US? I'm like, shut up. So anyway, this is stuff, it's going to sound like I'm doing advertisements here. I'm not. And some things are, I use more than others, and this is just what I use and how I use it. That's all you're going to see here, I swear. That being said, there's always something new, right? We're going to talk about mapping a little bit, doing graphics and things like that really easily, because I like easy. Spark Map upstairs, or they were upstairs, I guess everybody's going now. We were upstairs. Anyway, they were here. I've got some handouts for them too. It's not really, I haven't used it, so I didn't show it here. I'm not going to show anything I haven't used. But it looks rather promising because there's a lot of data. Just write that down at the bottom of your list in the back, Spark Map. Anyway, it's cool. It seems cool. So one question that I thought about, because I felt like I needed to have slides because I'm a turkey. How do you know when to buy software and what to buy? Because as we saw at the conference, there's a million things out there. I can just tell you how I do my process. Oops, don't touch the mic, Scott. You gotta know the problem. How's this? Is that better? Is it? Good. Yeah, I don't talk well. So define the problem. Einstein's credited with his quote at the bottom. I'm not sure if he actually ever said that, but think about the problem, what you're really trying to solve, what you really need. A lot of people will, like when you walked around at the conference, you thought, that is so cool. I think I need that. And that's not really the way you should buy really anything. It's something that you need to think about. Mom always said that you walk away, if it's expensive, you should walk away from it for 3 days and then come back to it. And if you still want it, it's probably not a bad bet. I think she was right. Resources, obviously, not just money, but how much time, I have a computer science background. I'm not afraid of computer stuff, but other people aren't like that. And that's fine. But just make sure you understand the difference, the trade-offs between robustness of software, how many cool things it can do, and how much time it takes to learn it. I'm going to show you ArcPro, but ArcPro and its predecessor, ArcMap, are the quintessential examples of things that can do a million things. It's the Swiss Army knife of mapping software, but oh my gosh, the learning curve is extremely long. There are some Adobe products I'd put in that category. Research, I'm going to go all through these things. One thing I think surprises people on this list for researching the software, think about how many updates the software has. If it has updates going on, that means someone is back there actively trying to improve things. If it hasn't had an update in a year or two, that's not a good sign. I mean, that means that it probably has implications for tech support, and where that software is going or not going. So think about, updates, even if they're minor. Think when you cost things out, it's not just anymore. Almost all these things I'll show you, with the exception maybe of Excel, you pay for it now, and guess what? You pay for it later, because most of these things are subscription based, so it's monthly, annually. The back of your sheet, therefore, I really want to help you understand whenever I talk about stuff like this, what the cost is, and these things change, so it's not written in stone, but and the level of effort to do it. And then always go back and reevaluate the thing. A great example of that I was thinking about earlier today as I was getting ready is survey software. Whenever I have to do an online survey, and I've done a million of them, I could do a whole session on online surveys, but and how to do a survey and how to screw up a survey. But those things are changing all the time. So I usually will go back out, obviously look at SurveyMonkey and stuff like that, but there's a lot of competitors in that space. There's a free option now with Google, if you have Google account, Google Forms. You can just use Google Forms for simple surveys. You don't have to, cost anything. So think about, how things change, because they do. Here's what we'll cover and how we'll do it. The applications, the cost, both a little bit about the time to learn it, everybody's different that way, and the money side, that's on your sheet again. And all this stuff will be uploaded accurately when I get done here today. I also want to tell you that I should have said this at the beginning, because we're going through so much stuff, answering questions may not be much time for that, but my email was on that sheet. My phone number's on that sheet, I think. I think it's my phone number. And it's just a Chinese restaurant I order from a lot. And I'm really serious about this. People say all the time, oh, you can call me. And they don't really mean it. They don't. I never mean that. But this is true. Talk is cheap. And so I'm happy, as you can tell, to talk about any of these things or other things or ideas you have or whatever. And I hope we get a chance to share a little bit about stuff that you use and how you use these things. Some you've probably heard of. I think you've probably heard of most of these. Why is my phone ringing? Stop that. I can feel it vibrating in my pants. I think that's my phone. So you probably heard of all these things or most of these things, but the main purpose here is to show you how I use them, including for grant stuff. So much so about AI, I will touch on AI, but man, that is a rabbit hole, and it's constantly evolving. I will talk about AI, show you how I use it, again, just like all these other things, but I'm not going to spend a lot of time on the ethics of helping our robot brethren take over the world. I mentioned the webinar that I did. Someone else had a nice comment. Thank you. This is exactly what I went over. I think this is the slide from that webinar. So a lot of this was really Excel and understanding Microsoft Excel. Taking Excel for granted. If you just Google GPA webinar, taking Excel for granted, I think it pops right up. The audio on that was not great, so I'm glad I'm here talking again. That's my fault. When you talk about Excel, I do want to mention this. People now use Google Sheets. The big difference here, we could argue about this, I guess, but if you want something that's more robust, has more features, yada, 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 if you're going to do programming in Excel, which I've done before, and I don't recommend it, use Excel, the desktop version, right? If you're going to share your sheets to the world and you have a collaborative team thing going on with your buddies, you probably want to use Google Sheets. The things I will show you in Excel, you can do in Excel, and you can do some variant of it in Google Sheets, I promise, I promise. So since we're in Canva, we're actually presenting from Canva. Canva is not just a graphics doohickey. I'll show you some graphics I've done in Canva, but it can also do presentations. And oh my gosh, it does really cool things like that. I didn't even know it did these things. Look at that. What's going on here? I should have done this at the start. Pretend it's the start. Hi, I'm Scott. So some cool things in Canva. Not cool thing in Canva. Take a close look at the AI-generated graphic from Canva. I feel really sad looking at that. The lady has legs like the chair. How many fingers are on her left hand? I mean, you would have been burned at the stake back in the 1800s. I'm sorry. I don't know what's going on there. I gave it 2 words as a prompt, classroom lecture, and it barfed that up. I mean, a little like Finn with a hairball. And so the graphics, however, on your handout on the front page are also done in Canvas, so it can be coaxed into doing something that's not terrible. Oops, that's questions. We don't want to go there yet. Let's just hit the escape. Okay, Canva. Let's look at Canva. One of the things when I was trained to be a grant geek was learning how to do a project prospectus. It's a one-page doohickey that should be very easy to read and give somebody, on an elevator the thing, and maybe they'll read it or they'll use it to wrap their sandwich in. I don't know, but I'm going to show you some examples of the ones that I've made. So since I said I did stuff, definitely want to show you one for a project that I won up in Maine, 140-mile, if I remember right. You can't read the text, but that's okay. Just trying to get an idea of the layout thing. And you get a little map, a few bit of text, what we're going to do with your money. So we say, Aruba is not a map of Aruba, been better. So yeah, this one, so $50+ million. That was a nice little victory there for the Maine crowd. Did some national webinars for how to do benefit cost analyses. Super exciting. Oh my gosh, benefit cost analysis. Let's hear it for that. Woo. Especially now it's so formulaic. Protect, please rest in peace. But workshop summary I did a summary for Protect. And that was the summary. So just cool key points, process, key things you need to know in the process, useful for that. And this was all done in Canva. And I tell you alternatives. There's something I've used a couple of times called Adobe Express that is quite similar to Canvas. If you're already a licensee, is that the right word? Licensee, for subscriber, a person, an Adobe person, then you might have access to Adobe Express already. So don't take my word for it. That's another one. What's a cute one? That's one that's not terrible. Oh, here's what I'm proud of. I love these people. Wish I could do more for them. Journeyman Triangle helps young men between 13 and 19. Very difficult era for young men of that age. You may notice some problems in the news with young men of that age sometimes. And this organization helps these kids go from kids to being responsible adult men. Very worthy project. And this was a prospectus for them. Cool. There's a lot more about Canva. I just don't have time here to do all that stuff, but some image generation, it says, I noticed in a message here, does AI text generation, that's scary. But presentations, obviously, since we already saw that. Basic graphics, I used to use something called Xara, X-A-R-A, which is a Brit product that I love so much more than Illustrator or any of that stuff, because Illustrator is really hard for me. Procreate is good if you're a Mac person, really good, like really good. This is not really a graphics drawing software so much. It really is very basic, but all the stuff you probably need to do, a lot of it, probably Canva. So what else? What might be next, Scott? Mural. How many people have heard of Mural? Mural, not the big wall thing that you see when you drive by. No one's heard of Mural? I don't believe you. Raise your hand if you've heard of Mural. Really? Are you like the only people left on Earth? Well, this is great. I mean, you scored. Mural is awesome. Again, I said I wouldn't advocate for things, but I guess I lied. So when I do complex meetings, I have a colleague in here, Savannah from Higgs Associates, and we were talking the other night at dinner about a very complex project I helped them with, where we had people from Spain, like England, DC, I don't know where they were all at, Colorado. Anyway, we'd have to do meetings with them to progress this very complex grant. It was really complex. I mean, it was stupid. The amendment, when it came out, had over 200 changes. I'm like, I don't think you should have let that out the first time. But anyway, it was really complex and really, really freaking horrible. So what I do with Mural, this is all about me, right? Is do an agenda for each meeting. That's pretty easy, copy and paste, and you type in new things. Cute little quote, I'm a slow walker, but I never walk back, Abraham Lincoln. It's probably appropriate. In this particular case, we had a guest speaker, we had goals that we did. At the end of each meeting, after it's all over, all the shooting's over, shouting, screaming, crying. I do a summary of it, and this is you can't read all this, that's fine. These are documents you can click on and open up. Those are the summary of the project. In this particular working session, was work group number 1. It was really cool. I'll show you work group number 2, though, because it's kind of the same thing. Oh, look, Savannah, who's this guy? He's probably in jail now, who cares? Keith, no, I'm kidding. Keith is really awesome. He's so much smarter than me. That's why I say mean things about him. But this group, it was a national group. We had communities from Alaska to Norfolk in this group that I was a lead facilitator. And grants are, they're a little difficult right now particularly. And so we tried to convince these cities and tribal governments and counties, maybe you should open up your portfolio a little bit, like a stock portfolio. And so I invented or researched 23 different financing tools or funding tools, and there is a difference there. That was workshop number 1. We talked about the difference between funding and financing. And so we asked them if yes, they'd used it. There might be a problem, maybe I'm interested in it, but I haven't done it, or no, I haven't done this mechanism, or whatever. And so you start a voting session, and people click on the object, in this case, the checkbox, the yellow question mark, or the X, and as they vote, the numbers start to pop up in the corner. And when the voting is done, everybody gets a certain number of votes that you, the facilitator, give them, like 10 votes in this case. Right? It's probably more than 10 here, probably like 20 votes. And they vote, and then they're done, and the screen pops up and it tells you what the winner was, what the top vote getter was. We did it there. We did it for this one too. We first made them do little sticky notes, because if you just double click, you can make a sticky note. We asked them to do sticky notes on things that are difficult challenges for grants for them. And they came up with these. And then we asked them to do the same things that are really positive things in their communities, because we don't want to be like Mr. Negative. And then when they were all done, they got to vote on these. And they just, in the voting center, they just clicked on the note and it voted. It's a great way to get like a feel. This was used really in a very important way to, you're going to have batteries, don't you? To kind of direct future sessions. Super important. Another cool thing about Mural, when you're done, and the meeting's finally over, you're like today, you'll want to do this. Yeah, it's over. That's Mural. I told you it's going to be fast. So mapping, I mentioned Art Pro. I'm not going to bring up Art Pro because the computer overheats and the lights dim. It's the reason I have a gaming computer. It's the only, I used to do travel demand modeling. Maybe I did it for that. That's what you said before, Zach.
Well, this one doesn't show a battery gauge on it, so it makes it.
Is it going to feedback?
No, it shouldn't. I'll turn that. I'll mute that.
Thank you. Let's leave this right here. I don't trust it. Zach. I knew it. Okay. Where are we at? Mapping. So the Art Pro is not what you want to use for mapping if you're just going to basic maps. This is a map that I use. Where is it? It was better before. This is a map product that I use called MapHub. It's on the list. That is very easy. This is the free version. There is an upgraded version, of course. There's an upgraded version. But it's color coded. One tribal government, some municipalities, some nonprofits. This place is where I've worked. If you click on it, you can get other information. There's Journeyman Triangle there in my region. And if you scroll down this little pop-up, it tells what I did for them. So very quick map thing. It's great if you're like a consultant, or if you could, instead of the whole US, it could be like if you work for a city or a county. It could just be your county, and you could have like places around the county that are important to your grant project. And you can link out to this map, and a reviewer looks at it and goes, "Ooh, they have their game together," or "Ooh, they made me link out to a link outside their proposal, and now I'm going to disqualify them." But yeah, mapping is very easy in this, and you can, the free version is probably fine for 90% what you want to do. So mapping, what is next? Oh, I got ChatGPT next. I really don't want to do that. I just want to save that shit for the end. Google Maps. Everybody uses Google. If you don't use, okay, now, how many people have not used Google Maps? No one. I bet you all have used Google, because if you, oh my gosh, Mural. Yeah, Mural. Miro is another one besides Mural, by the way, that is very similar to Mural. Mural. Confusing. So what I did here was I just pulled up Google Maps, and down here you can have a traffic map, which you probably know. I don't want to do that. I want to do that. So let's see. Traffic right now in Baltimore is pretty darn good. Got one problem here, but that's okay. We'll let that slide. Raise is coming out pretty soon, right? It's January. Is that right? I heard about that. But it's build, right? Okay. Yeah. January. Yeah. Thank you for reminding me. I've done a lot of Tiger build raise grants. So at any rate, one of the questions, if you do like, let's just say your road project, okay? Pretend it's a road project. Many of these are road projects. So let's say we're going to replace part of this bridge right here. Looks very expensive just right out of the gate. But so one thing you always want to know about is, with and without the road. What if the bridge falls into the harbor? A tunnel. What if the tunnel collapses?
The tunnel's still there.
Okay, we're going to replace that tunnel because we don't want that to happen again. I don't know Baltimore. So you could say, well, if you start right here, I'm sure I can do this. Sure. Directions. Yeah, I'm not going that way though. I'm going to the tunnel. Oops. Maryland. Oh, Maryland. I want to do here. Let's do somewhere off the big road. Okay, so that's your best path, right? The typical, right now, today, right now. So one thing that you can do here, so it says, you can't really see this. It says live traffic at the bottom. If you go to the bottom and do typical traffic, you can do any day of the week, let's say a Wednesday at 8 a.m. So Wednesday traffic at 8 a.m. is going to be a little bit worse than it is right now. So with my application, I kind of want to make sure my impact's the biggest. Not that you guys would do that. I know I wouldn't do that. But let's make it 5 o'clock. Oh, there we go. That's the one I want. That's my boy right there. Okay, so the tunnel collapses again, or the bridge falls onto the tunnel and they both collapse. This is terrible. We need $5 trillion to replace this tunnel, which is about probably what it would cost. One way to look at the before and after, well, if we don't have the tunnel, all of our ambulances and school children and orphans are going to have to take a much more circuitous path, maybe that path right there. So that is a much longer path. It looks like it's about 25 minutes. I don't remember what the other one was, but I bet how long was it? 7 or 8 minutes. 25 minutes versus 7 minutes. You multiply that by all the wages coming over that bridge, you get a big number. Maybe not $5 trillion, maybe you have to replace the thing, but you're on your way, And so this is literally how I answer that question of the with and without the project. And it's just the easiest one. And frankly, this data that Google is using, it's used by INRIX models, it's used by Streetlight Data, it's used by all those other guys you have to pay money for. And you might as well just use this, because and if they go back and check it, sometimes they may, they're gonna get the same answer. So that's a cool way to use something that everybody uses every freaking day of the world. Another thing that people should use more often, no. Cool. It says Wilshire Boulevard at the top, but it's not. What if you need a map that has a very simple, I always like to have simple, clean graphics in my stuff, right? We all want that. What if you just want something that's a very simple map? Google Earth, which people forget about, and it is free, is kind of cool. Because let's say you're doing a project on Orleans Street, whatever that's pronounced, and you zoom in a little bit and you get buildings. You can change the view here to where base map settings, clean. Let's have clean. Now you've got something without even roads. You've just got, so if you want to draw in things on top of this, you can have a very clean, simple, but cool, because it shows buildings, probably somewhat accurate. Always double check that. But borders, labels, Deary buildings, reference, yeah. So anyway, I use this a lot. I use Google Earth, like sometimes when I have meetings as well, and I bring up Google Earth. And like if we have a project in the street and we're talking about the street, I can bring this up, and rather than having a presentation or a PowerPoint or that kind of stuff, I can bring this up. And so then when the people who know the area, which ain't me, talk about things, they can talk about it with all the reference points they want, and it's very clean and simple. Google Earth, everybody, Google Earth. Also, when it starts off, it has the whole planet. When you type in your location, like Baltimore, it turns the planet around and zooms in and makes you a little queasy. That's kind of fun. So since we're on maps, I'm trying to kind of organize this a little bit, believe it or not. It doesn't look like it, but I'm trying. Stadia is another one. I used to have the hardest time getting maps that weren't garbage to use. I mean, because if you use like a Google map, and you should credit these things, by the way, it goes without saying, but I'll say it. There's a lot of labels, a lot of junk on that map. You can't just screen capture that. It's just like, oh, it looks like trash. And everybody knows you use Google. Like, oh, you cheap rascal. If you use Stadia, it's kind of in flux. It's kind of a little buggy too. You can get different kinds of maps. What's toner? I don't know what some of these are. That's kind of cool. It's got some building stuff and pretty clean. There's a version of this I think I linked out to that has ones without labels. Kind of hard to find street maps without labels sometimes. The watercolor one is very cool, right? It could be like a cover or something, maybe. I don't know what that is. But Stadia is worth just knowing because it can produce, not that, but it can produce a pretty clean map. Stadia. It's on the list on the back of the page. Did you get a handout? Okay. Maybe it's all Stamen Stadia. Maybe I will put this in my pocket because I almost dropped it. Did you find it? That was on purpose. We don't want you to see that. Well, I'm going to put them right there anyway. Yeah, there's more copies of that. I got a bunch more copies. Anyway, clean-ish map, define clean. You can see what it looks like when you kind of go in. So sometimes you just want a clean black and white, And it's hard to find. It's surprisingly hard to find a good clean map. Oh, okay, maps. I'm going to kind of cross over between maps and data a little bit. I mentioned ArcGIS Pro. A lot of what Esri does now, that's the maker of ArcGIS Pro, is online. We all want data. One of the best values, I think, out there is Esri Business Analyst Online, or BAO. If you hear someone saying BAO, it's probably what they're talking about. It probably means a bunch of other stuff, too, that's probably not nice. But BAO is what we're talking about here. So this is 6 districts. You can kind of see them here. This is in North Carolina, just in case you're wondering where the heck this is at. Say you wanted to have good demographic data for this thing. The cool part about the Esri stuff, it doesn't really forecast very well and doesn't do historical data very well, but it does give you a lot of stuff very quickly on things like consumer expenditures, healthcare budgets, things like that. And if you already have an Arc Pro license, it's only $100 extra to get this. That's ridiculous. For what this thing does, I'm telling you. So this is like a key fact sheet. We would spend all day here if I showed you all these infographics. Let's do nonprofit charitable profile. Ooh, I like that one. This was not planned. Total households, served on committee for local organizations, volunteer for charitable organization, consumer charitable spending. Cool. But anyway, one of the hardest parts is finding what you actually want. They can generate reports and detailed data in a table form that you can export to Excel. So I don't want to dwell on that, but for $100, if you're already buying Arc Pro, which is like, I got my bill the other day. It said $700. I think they made a mistake, which is okay. It used to be $1,000, so I'd pay $1,100 every year for this, for both Arc Pro, which is admittedly kind of amazing if you know how to use it. in this. So $100, extra bucks if you're not, it seems reasonable. I don't know what it is if you buy it on its own. More data, more data. Who doesn't want more data? We're going to search for Baltimore. This is LEHD on the map. So Baltimore, Maryland. I'm going to search for that. You can upload GIS, speaking of GIS, we can upload GIS files into this, which people forget about. Because if you have a really complex, goofy boundary, say a long street or something you're trying to get, you can upload, get your GIS and geek, if you're that like me. It's not an insult because I am one. You can upload it into here and it can make that boundary. But let's just use the Baltimore City because we're in a rush. No, we're doing pretty good though. So a lot of different options here. We're going to look at where people actually work, and we're going to do a distance direction map. The most recent data I'm looking at is 2022. I also want 2002 to see the 20-year change. Pick all jobs, go. And it's going to think about it for a minute. It's like Finn when I tell him to come. He's thinking about it. This is one of those, I submitted that session yesterday where they had like the bad graphics, and I think this is like a great example of not a great graphic. But so a heat overlay of all the workers in Baltimore City. So if you're doing something that, for whatever reason, has to do with the importance of employment or something, where they are, where they aren't, this is pretty good. And you can do it for 2022 and do it for 2002. I don't know if it's changed much. I don't think it's changed a whole lot. That's 2002. That's 2022. I don't know. This little radar doohickey over here, it shows you where people are coming from, the workers are coming from. A lot of them are coming from the northeast into Baltimore City. So you can get an idea and how far they have to travel. Could be useful for your build grant, right? Could be useful for build. I do use this for build. Let's do one more in here just to show you the kind of the range of goodies. Come on, Demi. Let's do, instead of distance direction, let's do this because this is easy to explain. Thinking about it. Come, boy, come. So in 2022, you had 220,000 people coming into Baltimore City, 134,500 leaving Baltimore City to go to work. 96,000 stayed in. They both lived and worked in the same spot.
And that's a really cool look.
Yeah, it's simple. And the Venn diagram does the same thing. Right, this does the same thing. Coming in, going out, and the people that stay in the middle. So yeah, that's not a bad graphic. I have used that graphic before, almost clean. This is 2002, 186, 147. Oh, it looks like more people. Yeah, so the number of people that actually live and work in Baltimore City has declined. This is very common. So in 2022, it was 132,000. In 02 was 133,000 in 2022. So about 40,000 fewer people now live and work in Baltimore City. That has implications for travel patterns and behavior and stuff. LEHD on the map. Moving along, because I want to move along. We've already seen you. Oh God, I can't put it off. But I don't want to do Excel either. Okay, let's do ChatGPT. Okay, so much stuff to talk about. I use ChatGPT. I use it to maybe draft some text out. I do it for research. I do things like that. I asked it to look at, give it a little quick thing here. Budget considerations for a grant. A lot of times I use this as a backstop. I may know all this already, but I'm not a machine. This thing is. I might forget. And so the categories that it's coming up here, I would probably come up with those, I hope. It gives you some silly tips, that could be useful to you, maybe or maybe not. Some other issues. So I use it for that as a backstop, and I use it for an initial phase of research. I've heard other people say that too about ChatGPT or AI generally. If you want to get more into it, I uploaded my resume. for grants that I did a while back into ChatGPT, and I told it to respond to this advertisement that I have from LinkedIn. I get these every day, and I just copy the entire job posting into this very long text box. And I said, write me a cover letter using my resume in my voice for that job. And it attempted to do it. I have done this before for a federal assignment, and then I just end up totally rewriting it. I don't really know if I'm actually saving time. It just gives you ideas. If you use it for much more than that, you're increasingly at risk, because what's happening is people are increasingly looking at that text with a jaundiced eye, and they will run it through a checker. Let's pretend we wanted to defeat that, because, you know, again, not me, you guys when I do that. Let's start a new document. Hopefully this will work. So I'm going to paste my text for my new cover letter that I wrote in here, and it will, first of all, will test for AI text and plagiarism. It's not a great one. There are other ones. GPT-0 I've used a few times to check for AI stuff. 28% of your text has patterns that resemble AI text. I mean, if I was ChatGPT, I'd be feeling pretty good about that. 28%. That means 72% they didn't catch. You could also rewrite this. You could improve it, whatever that means. Scan the text you want. Let's say you want to do that paragraph all over again. You don't like that paragraph because it's stupid. You can improve it. It comes out with a different one. You can try to shorten it. It comes out hopefully with a shorter one. So you can play with, this is Grammarly. I should have mentioned that. Oh, stupid. I don't use Grammarly for this, hardly ever, if ever. What I use Grammarly for is it's always running in the background, and its only job is to make me not look even dumber than I already am. So when I'm writing an email to somebody, Grammarly will catch all the stuff that I'm screwing up in my email. And this allows me to focus on the content and the cool stuff and innovation, whatever. You guys are innovative, I'm not. But that it allows you to focus on the important stuff and not on the not so important stuff. And it's cool to have Grammarly running in the background. And I think it's on the list. It's not horrifically expensive, I don't think. So useful for that purpose. That's mainly what I use it for. Occasionally I'll do some testing for AI plagiarized text. I had a client last week that I had to confront about that. It gave me a draft. I'm like, you didn't write this. That was awkward. Okay, I'm not doing ChatGPT anymore. Okay. All right, ChatGPT, AI generally. It's getting better. I'm a computer guy. I follow this stuff fairly closely. It's getting better. It's still not there. I can tell, you can tell probably when there's been a lot of AI generated text, you know, and put in front of you. I will tell you this, people are a little upset about this. Someone, a guy I follow, Scott Galloway, on some stuff, kind of a crude dude sometimes, but kind of smart. He said, AI won't take your job. Someone who knows AI will going to take your job. So I think knowing AI a little bit doesn't hurt. You know, you can take a shower afterwards or whatever you feel like you need to do to cleanse yourself, go to church, I don't know what you do, but I mean, it's okay to know it and to learn it and to know its shortcomings and where it's useful and where it's not. It's different for everybody. For people that are worried it's going to take your job, you know, I'm a watch guy, and you wouldn't know it from the Hamilton I'm wearing right now, but I'm a watch guy. In the 70s and I guess 80s too, the quartz watch movement freaked the old watch companies out, been around for 100 years or more. And everybody's going to be buying these cheap little plastic battery-powered watches. And yes, some companies, a lot of them suffered, and some companies disappeared. But a lot of them did not. And what we came to realize from that experience in the 90s, starting in the 90s particularly, I think, and all the way through today, people really value a good mechanical watch that just tells you the freaking time in the day and does it in an awesome way and has a little bit of a story behind it. That's what you want as a writer. I mean, I think practice your own skills, hone your own skills. I took a copy editing and proofreading classes a couple of years ago through Noah Days, and I didn't know what I didn't know as usual, and I became a little bit better writer because of it, and a better reviewer. A lot of my stuff is reviewing other people's work. So practice and hone your own skills, and I think you'll probably be all right, is my best take. We did that one. We did mural. Look at us go. Well, the bad news is you're in Excelville. I did want to show you Power BI, not because I just think it's cool. I'm really proud of myself for learning this in Tableau. Power BI is the new kind of Excel-y kind of interactive dashboard. And this map here, this is Greensboro, North Carolina. If I just wanted to see the crashes for, looks like this is a really bad year, 2021, COVID, it was a bad year for fatalities. The map changes to only show the points for 2020. This shows crashes by hour. So this shows the total for all day, and then or all months or all years in the data set, and this shows the dark area shows the number for 2021. And then by month, if you click on it again, it brings back all the data. You can talk about the type. Assault with a vehicle. Now we're talking. I want to see the assault with vehicles. There were several, and somebody was successful. Yeah. So if you click on the dot, it brings up some more data. So this is, I don't think, if you worked for an agency like a city or a county or something where you really had to do a lot of stuff and show data to decision makers and dig onto it, I would not use Tableau. I would now use Power BI. It's just better. It interfaces better with Excel, and it's way easier to learn. Well, let me tell you. It's still not falling off a log easy, but Power BI is the way to go for interactive dashboards like that doohickey. Okay, now that I've shown off. Don't save. All right. We got through Chat GPT. We can get through Excel. So I use Excel for a lot, and I'm an old-time Excel user, literally and figuratively. And I created an invoice. This is my invoice, basically, what I send to clients. This piece over here, when I try to highlight it, is it showing up? Yeah. They don't see that. They just see, when I do an invoice, they just see this bit here. This was talked about in the webinar too. I do a little progress report down here. I just type and I update the progress report. Over here is where I do the number crunching. This is how much I bill. This is my rate. I randomly put in 80 there. Time frame, that changes. Some of this stuff doesn't change from invoice to invoice. So here's your invoice, and you highlight this, and you set the print area on it. Formulas, format, developer, draw, home, page layout. Here it is. Set the print area. And now if you do file print, which hopefully will go to a PDF. Yep, WPDF. That shows you what you're going to get. I won't hit the go button. It'll print a PDF form of that invoice, and you're ready to go. You send that to the client, boom, you're done. If you want to do a new one, let's say it's invoice number 2 time, even better. You right-click that thing, and you go to move or copy, and you create a copy, and you do it right before that one. And now you've got invoice number 2. So that should stay 1. So it's invoice number 2. You make all these things 0, put in what you previously invoiced here. Control C, just paste the numbers. And then you put in whatever you did here. You just change these numbers to make the new invoice. This graph changes as you add more to it with each invoice. And then when you're done, you update your little progress report, update the date, obviously. Don't forget that. It's really embarrassing if you don't. And then you do the same thing I showed you before. You print a PDF version of that sheet, and your invoicing is done. There are a lot of systems out there. I'm not saying they're good or bad, but this does exactly what I want it to do, how I want it to do it, without doing anything else. And I have learned that there's a great value in that. I did it. Yeah. Because there are templates out there. That's a good question. There are templates out there that you can start from, and that might be a good thing. I'm going to upload this to the folder thing for GPA, so you'll have all the things I'm going to show you right now. So don't worry too much about taking notes, maybe. But invoice number 2. So this is the revenue sheet. So I also have a revenue sheet, and I made these up to protect the innocent and the poverty-stricken. So this is like, so when you're done with the invoice, you come to this sheet and you type in the new, your invoice and your dollar amount, and you're paid. One thing about this is that you'll notice that some of these have drop-down boxes like this one. And I put in my clients, pretend clients, these are all pretend clients here. I just choose which one it is, right? And so you've got some list data over here. And so you type in your list here, and this thing knows back here to update it. Let's do a new one. Let's do a new list. Let's do it. X parts. And now we'll do our revenue sheet. And it didn't do it because the data, I did not. So one thing when you do these drop-down boxes, which I should have done here, is go to data validation. This is how you actually do it, which is nice. Data validation, I want to do a list, and data is going to be over here. So it's too short. You should always use a couple of blank ones at the end, so when you add them, you're not embarrassed in front of a group of people when you're showing them. So now we come back to revenues. Now Hicks parts is in there. So, and you know, that's good. That way you can't make mistakes. You know, it's just easier to use drop down sometimes. Revenues, and then now running, you know, outstanding amount that's not been paid yet. You can see these things here. This person's kind of on the naughty list a little bit, 47 days past due. This is done, this whole thing is a formatted cell thing to let you, if you have a bunch of these, it's better to have something like that so that you can kind of quickly see who's naughty and who's nice. So if you want to manage the rules, you can see how it's done. This is the icon set. You can use a different one if you want. Sure, let's use that one. I want to show the icon only because I don't care about the data behind it. I just want to show the icon only. And changes it to that. So, yeah, and there's some formulas in here I won't go into. It's super boring, but since you're going to have the spreadsheet, you can use this and you got the formula. It's way better than trying to write it out. Timesheet, okay, before you do any of this, you have to have a timesheet. Again, the drop-down box is rather apparent. Oh, it looks, Hicks parts is now part of the drop-down box because I was smart and I use the same list for a change. For my different tasks, I have these. You may have very different tasks. You may have a lot more tasks. If I want to do a new week, this is what I do. I copy and I paste. Just paste, dude. This is already grabbing the right day. If it wasn't, you might have to move it to the right day, but after you do that, these days populate automatically. Excel thinks dates are just numbers. It doesn't care. So I just put this date +1. And so it automatically populates all the dates here. And then I'm ready to go again, ready to start making up hours, assigning my hours to clients. And you put notes over here and everything. And I've run this by like NCDOT before, who are notoriously horrible about this kind of thing, and they've taken it. So I think anybody would probably take it. It depends on your client. You can adjust this. The cool thing about Excel is you can adjust it to your client's needs really quickly. So they want to change their invoice, and most people, a big company would go, no, we can't do that. You can go, yeah, I can do that. What do you want to see? So that's kind of cool. List data. Oh, we talked about mapping. We did talk about mapping, didn't we? Did you know you can make maps in Excel? Yeah. Do I have any? No. That'd been funny. This data, what I pulled down was, you can go online and get this yourself if you want. It'll be in this sheet again. Is all the Tiger build. Let's see. It was Tiger build, raise, build grants from all the way back to 2009. Who won that? Who won the thing? What state they're in, and so on. Pretty cool. So as long as the data is fairly clean, you can make it. I copied it and just made all the states here and the amount that they had won, I guess in total, and the number of grants they had won from the Tiger build, raise, build grant. And here's the maps that came from it. So that is looking at the total amount of the awards, and this one's looking at the number of awards. Right. So pretty cool. You could also have another column here, like amount, per award. It would be an interesting thing to know, maybe. I do research on some of these things for my clients. Some of the bigger ones, we're always trying to get angles. Who's won what? How did they win it? What were the things that keywords that they were using? And this is all just part of that research gobbledygook. So this is in a table format. So if you highlight this, all of these, it's in a table. This is actually a pivot table. Pivot tables are, if you want nothing else, when you have big data like this, the best thing you can do is start off with a pivot table. And I just highlight the data. It's got a lat long, so you can map this too in like MapHub, I showed you, or ArcPro, whatever. You can insert a pivot table. You've already got the data highlighted. You pick out where you want the thing to go, and you hit that, and okay. New pivot table. So now we can show where the states are. That's really terrible. Oh, I know why. It's not big enough. There, that's a little better. That you can show the states. You can show the applicant type. That's the count of the applicant type. You probably actually want to have columns up here and then do applicant type again. So this is all the different, wow, there's a lot more applicant types than I thought. So you can see how many local governments, and why do you want to know this? I don't know. And Alabama applied down through the years for that grant. So if you have big data, but bottom line is, takeaway is, if you have a big long list of data and it's really confusing, put it into a pivot table like I showed you just now, and you can cut it, slice it, dice it 80 different ways from Sunday. Okay. And there's usually a totals column at the bottom so you can see what's going on. That was Excel. Please hold. So when push comes to shove, what do I use? Pencil and paper. That was actually the last one I think I was going to cover. You have a few minutes for questions? What the hell?
What's the difference between the pivot table and the sorting by whatever, if you want to sort by state or you want to sort by dollar amount?
Okay, fair question. So let's go back to the original data. So there are, how many rows are there? How many records? There are 1,386 rows here. So even within each state or each program or each year, there's still a lot of records. It's just a lot of data to sort. You can do it. I'm going to show you how to make this your life a little easier. It's not a pivot table, but it's not dumb text either.
Scott, would you mind repeating what the question was?
Oh, yeah, I don't mind at all. The question was, what's the advantage of a pivot table versus, I'm going to go into what's a table and just a silly list. So a list is very long and very hard to look at. You can sort it, and you can sort it. So what she's asking to do is do a data sort by, my data has headers, yes, by states. So now the first column that lists is Alabama is the first state. So you can do that and you get something out of that, I think, and it is good. Another way of tackling this is to format as a table. I don't know if I want all that stuff on there, but what the heck? The table has headers. So now it's a cute little table. Now you can, let's say you just want to look at, urban rural. So selecting all, you can do, urban and rural. Let's do that, it's quicker. Or just urban, let's just do urban. So those are all the urban grants only that you're seeing now. One thing that, I was gonna go into subtotals too, but I won't do that. But, so that's a table, a formatted table is a list. It's really dumb. There's a formatted table. It's a little smarter. You can kind of pick and choose what you want to see. That's a little better. And there's a pivot table. And so what you can do in a pivot table, which you can't do in just a silly list or even a formatted table, I mean, you certainly couldn't do what I just showed you. You couldn't break out by these things and see it in a list like this, because now you can take this, and for some bizarre reason, if I wanted to make a chart or something, I can make a chart out of this really easily. But you can also do things like, that's just the count. You can change the value field settings to the sum, or let's do the average. Nope, that's because it's not a amount. Where's the dollar amount? Total project cost. So that's everything. Let's change the value field settings to an average. This is, it's not formatted correctly, but these are the average cost for Alaska city and township governments since 2009 in the Tiger Bill Raise Grant Program. There's no way to do that, I'm telling you. Someone's gonna prove me wrong, but in a table format. It has to be done in a pivot table. You just can't dig down. You can't dig at it any way else except in a pivot table. I mean, definitely learn the pivot table thing if you're researching past grants or have other big listed data. That's my only recommendation. You're gonna love it if you don't do it. Good question. Any other questions? We need to do our game. We need to do our game. We did the map example. Nope, don't even get excited. So yes, I did buy this yesterday at a local, there's also an expense sheet, but it looks a lot like the others. I'm gonna care about that. Okay, so Excel can generate random numbers. Rand between is the formula. So I told it to do a random number between 1 and 1,000. When I hit this enter button, has everybody written down a number between 1 and 1,000? If you haven't, do it. And then you put your pencil down and you don't pick it up again until I told you. Do you want to see what you're gonna win? Do you want to see it? It's an iPad. I'm just kidding, that's mine. Oh, but you were excited, weren't you? That's too bad, that's funny. No, it's even better than an iPad. It says, I run on coffee and chaos. And it's quiet. That's valuable. Don't give this to your dog. I would not give this to Finn because I think it's got sand on the bottom to make it stand up. It's cute as hell. It's got the tags on it. I didn't steal it from anybody. I didn't like repurpose it. I didn't bring that from Raleigh. All right, does everybody have a number between 1 and 1,000 written down? I want to see hands on the freaking table. I'm just kidding. Wow, I'm not kidding. You think I am? Man, you people really aren't trustworthy because if that's in your head, are you ready? I don't think you're ready. Are you ready? Is anybody close to 357? Let's just do it that way. What? No. You have like a, wait. You have a 3 and a 7 and you think that should get you something. No. Let's go over the rules again. Does anybody have a number between 300 and 400? Wow. Oh, what do you got? That is about 22 points off. That's pretty good. Is anybody 22 or closer than 22 away? So a number bigger than 325 and lower than 382.
What if you're close to the person that's 22?
She may let you touch the plushie. I would not let you touch my plushie, but she might. And I didn't make you come up here and high five people either. I don't want to point that out. You should call me amazing. All right, I'm gonna go back to the presentation real quick. Go making fun of people. Present, yes. Okay, you already had that. That's me. How do I find help on all this stuff? Well, you now have another resource. It's me. Please call or Google me. I love talking to people, clearly. There's some, but if you're not interested in that, you're kind of shy, like me. You can go to a lot of online courses. I've done plenty of those to help me learn different things. LinkedIn has some free and courses to premium members, which I guess makes it not free really. There's a lot of Excel stuff out there, so much Excel help. Chandoo, Chandoo, is one I talked about in the conference. And I just want to, so don't feel overwhelmed like Finn here. He's had a bad day. Finn never has a bad day, I'm just kidding. He literally never has a bad day. But I do want to be, in all seriousness, for 2 seconds, thank you for everything you do. It's amazing. It really chokes me up what you do. Keep doing it.